Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is members night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us on this very, very, very special Mother's Day edition of the Football Out West show. It is going to be a ripper tonight. My name is Tonci Prusek, and joining me as he does week in, week out is Craig Filer. Craig, a very warm welcome to you.
Good evening, Tonci. Good evening, listeners. Hope everybody's well. Everybody's had a good weekend of football. I know I have, and I'm sure you have. And Mother's Day today, so I did what all good husbands do, mate, and spent some time with her today. So I took her to a football match. How's that?
Romantic. The long-suffering Heidi, she does a great job putting up with you, but don't we all? No, Craig, we're all joking. We love you to bits, and we love having you on the Sunday night, mate. This is a great time slot. I tell you what, I absolutely love this time slot. So much better than a Friday night, and I think just judging from what people are telling us on the comment section, and by the way, keep those comments coming, folks. We've got the Rayman telling us all about some of the scores and what's your nos happening over the weekend. Santino, Mamone, Michael Long, Miles Matrevsky also telling us some good results from the weekend gone by. Speaking of the results, we're going to go through that and a lot more tonight. But it's what's the word? It's frustrating, Craig, when you look on the Football Victoria website with all the results and ladders and games have not been updated. It's Sunday night, folks. Now, is it the coaches or is it the referees' duty to update the scores?
Yeah, no, I think there's no change time. So I think it's no good for the referees to do that. So, and I find it frustrating, as a coach, you look through the results on a Saturday afternoon and half the results are not there, and it's really frustrating. And you have to dig really deep to try and find the results. Now, that can only mean one thing. Either the referees have got 2 or 3 games over the weekend and they just don't get the time to do it, or they just can't be asked. Looking at the Football Victoria site this afternoon, there's still a lot of results still not showing on the system, which is something that they need to resolve pretty quickly.
Yeah, now look, I understand Sunday evening games. Yeah, there are a few Sunday evening games happening just as we speak, so I get that. But Saturday afternoon games at 3pm kickoff, come on, it's past 24 hours, and by that stage, the results should be up. The ladders should be updated. Look, like I said, I am aware that it is the referees this year, and I get it. 2-3, if you've got 2-3 games and all that kind of stuff, but some of the games like NPL, for example, we've got a guest tonight from Altona Magic, and the Altona Magic game, which was yesterday, I think afternoon. That has not been yesterday evening. Sorry, that has not been updated. Now we know the score. We know the score that between Altona Magic and Port Melbourne. We'll go through that in a little while when we do our roundups. But it's very frustrating. But that's what we are here for, folks. That's what we are here for, Craig, to inform the uninformed, or to inform the public.
Nice little comment there from Michael Long, who's it's good to have you back as well, Michael. I know Friday nights were a bit of a nuisance for you with other commitments, but great to see you back on the show, mate. And it's he's just saying that Football Victoria is still on JobKeepers. That's all okay. If they are still on JobKeepers, because it's all automated. So as soon as the results go through, they should automatically update anyway. But you're absolutely right, mate. We are more efficient than Football Victoria. We like to think we are. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. So Chris Briffer says, I'll pop that comment up. A good comment. Very poor and unprofessional, guys. He's not talking about us, of course. He's talking about the scores and lack of scores. How hard it is for the club to ring in or email the score. Well, there you go. And that's what we're I guess highlighting. It probably is the referees that they should be doing. The
referee's job now to put the results in, because they have to put the time of the goals, whereas coaches used to be able to just put the score in.
Yeah.
They now have to put the time of the goals, any yellow card, any red cards, and they have to put comments in. So it is 100% down to the referees to do that now.
Absolutely. Look, Craig, you're going to step away from the screen for a very, very short while. Not for too long, of course, because Craig is just getting everything ready for our news desk, which is going to happen very, very shortly. The news desk, obviously, is a roundup of the week just gone by. Okay, don't go away. Okay, we're back on deck. Craig, let's start off with the NPL. The NPL, well, we'll bring the NPL ladder, and let's talk about some of the results that have happened on the weekend gone by in the NPL competition here in Victoria.
Yeah, it was a huge week of football this weekend. None other than obviously the big game at the top between the OG derby, is it? Is that what it is? The South Melbourne Melbourne Knights versus South Melbourne. I actually went to the game. What a fantastic game that was, and fantastic crowd, and a great evening for football. And Knights managed to get through that one. It was a tough game. It was a gutsy performance from them. Defended really well. Probably South were the better team on the night, but couldn't break down Melbourne Knights, who came away with the 1-0 win, Tonci.
Yeah, we've got footage of that game. Look, we will talk with one of our guests tonight. Is Anthony Duzel, the Melbourne Knights midfielder. He was involved in, probably, arguably, the biggest week of his football career. He had the FFA Cup game against South Melbourne last Tuesday night, and then it was the big OG derby at Summers Street on Friday night, and what a game that was. 1-0 to the Melbourne Knights. They managed to exact some revenge against their old foe after losing on a penalty shootout to South Melbourne at Lakeside. But, that game is, and as a result of, you know what, Craig, I'm going to say this.
There's nothing on screen, Tonci. I'm not sure whether you've pressed something there, mate, but there's nothing on the screen there.
Is it there? Oh, really? I'm not too sure what's going on there. Looks like we've got some problems there with apparently some sort of issues with Facebook. Is it Facebook? I think it might be the Facebook. What do you call them? So we might have issues playing any Facebook footage tonight. That's no good. No good. Let's go back to the ladder. So we'll have the ladder there. If we look at the ladder there, and that is a bit of a concern with all these copyright issues that we've got. What can you do there? But look, getting back to the NPL, mate, with some of the results that have happened over the weekend. Now, tonight's game, we'll talk about tonight's game in a sec, St Albans and Heidelberg United. Heidelberg United picked up a point, so they are on 22 points. So you've got three teams now on 22 points. The Melbourne Knights in fourth position on 21. Bentley Greens in fifth position on 20 points. What an unbelievably exciting NPL competition this year, Craig. What an unbelievably...
It is, and,
captivating.
Yeah, it is, Tonci. And you look at those teams at the top and those top five teams there: Avondale, South Melbourne, Melbourne Knights, Heidelberg, and Bentley Greens, and Hume City just behind. 5 big teams within Victorian football, all up there. And then there's a bit of a gap, as you see, between Bentley and Hume. But it's a fantastic season. I have to say, having Friday night football is Friday night MPL football is fantastic. I was up at Summer Street on Friday evening, and fantastic crowd. It's great to see. Probably a good couple of thousand people up there watching the game. And of course, there's other games around on Friday evening as well. Preston Lions just up the road would have had a big crowd as well. But it's just really exciting. The league is. The league is really exciting. St Albans today, pulling a goal back against Heidelberg in the dying minutes to get a point. So, it's very exciting up there.
Yeah, so let's go through those results, starting from Friday night's clash. Oh, we've already gone through that one, Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne. It was a 1-0 win to the Knights. And scoring on debut was... what was the guy's name? The young fellas that's come over from the west. From
Melbourne Knights.
Yeah.
Dorjock plays for the
Dorjock. That's the one.
Yeah, come up from
that's the one.
Doing really well in the 20s and has been pushed into the seniors and actually scored off a rebound from our guest later on, Anthony Duzel, who had the shot, and Dorjock followed it up to send the Knights fans mental.
Absolutely pandemonium. Yeah, that was a great result. Good crowd there. You were at that game, weren't you, Craig?
It was, yeah, it was. It was a great game of football to watch.
Now, quite an interesting thing. And I guess if you want to find out more information about what happened prior to the game, tune into the night train tomorrow night on Football Nation Radio at 8:00, straight after the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And that's at 7:00. But Josh Parrish, I think, was the MC at a pre-match function, and it had Chris Niku from the FFA. There was a South Melbourne
AAF, wasn't it? He was
AAFC, yeah. Nicolanos was there, and one of the big topics of conversation was a state second division, national second division. And tell you what, with games like that, where you've got good crowds. You've got so much passion. You've got so much rivalry. It's fantastic, and the football to boot was just brilliant. But not that far away, over in Kialba on Friday night, Green Gully Reserve. Green Gully took on the Eastern Lions, and that was a heart-stopping game as well.
Yeah, well, I think they were 3-0 up at one stage. Green Gully. And I think goals from in Eastern Lions in the 74th and 87th minute got it back to 3-2 through goals through Rozecki in the 87th minute. But Green Gully with Jay Davis, Alex Salmon, and Crook scoring, obviously up to 3-0 and then or 3-1 at the time, I think, and then Eastern Lions pulled 2 back, but it wasn't enough, and Green Gully get all 3 points.
Yeah, good result there for Gully, but a heart-stopping one at that. Dandenong City took on Bentley Greens, and that was at the Frank Holohan Complex, also on Friday night. Bentley Greens doing well. They're collecting points, and now they find themselves in 5th position. The score there?
Yeah, 2-1 to Bentley Greens, Tonch. Bentley Greens going 2-0 up early on with Crowley on 18 minutes and Iaconis on 39. Slavica scored on 41 to bring it back to 2-1. But again, wasn't enough to Dandenong City. They just can't get that win at the bottom of the ladder to get them off the foot of the table. And they're trying every week, but it's just not happening. But another good win there for Bentley.
And then we're moving along to Saturday, a golf fest at Avenger Park, Avondale hosting Hume City. That was the Saturday afternoon game. What transpired there, mate?
Yeah, look, all these games you can see on MPL Victoria. They have the highlights reel every day that's on there. But a very high scoring game. Half time 2-1 to Hume. Obviously finished at a full time of 3-3. Valentini, Zinni, and Lundy for Avondale. Brennan, Rick Oben, an own goal, and Bingham and a penalty in 43 minutes. So there was 4 bookings there for Hume City in that game. But 3-3 was the finish, and enough to keep Avondale on top.
And then Saturday night, we had the Altona Magic game against Port Melbourne Sharks. That was at Paisley Park. Our good friend Steve Curtin, who was with us last week, he was the one that was had the commentators mic there, along with Katie Lambeski. Interesting score.
Yeah, look, it was 1-1. We'll touch a little. We won't go too much into this one, Tonci, because we've obviously got our guest, CHRIS Oldfield from Altona Magic, coming on the show later on, and we'll talk about the game. But yeah, a 1-1 result for a 1-1 result. Not for anybody. It was 1-1. But still can't, like Dandenong City, they just can't get that win to lift them off the foot of the table. But obviously, new coaching or management team down there, and I'm hoping that they'll soon get something together.
We've got some YouTube footage there from the Heidelberg United and St Albans game. The last 10 minutes of the game played earlier tonight. We'll talk about that one shortly. We've got tonight, or this as we speak, actually, Oakley Cannons are taking on Dandenong Thunder as well. So that's going to be an interesting game for. I guess for several reasons, obviously, to see how high up Oakley can jump up if they can beat Dandenong Thunder. If we do have any scores from that game and anyone is aware of it, here we go. Brenton Ray says, here we go. Latest news, Oakley now 18 after its win versus Dandenong Thunder. Just concluded about 20 minutes ago. What was the scoreline there? We'd like to know the scoreline there. But great stuff there. So if we put the ladder back on, there we go.
Trouble with your videos there tonight, Tonci. Nothing's playing on your videos.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. I don't know what's going on. Must be something to do with the permissions or something like that. It looks like BeLive has changed something, or Facebook and YouTube have had some issues. I mean, we can play can put up photographs and pre-done videos, but it looks like we cannot play anything Facebook or YouTube. So bloody techno, whatever they call them, techno giants, playing games with us again.
Yeah.
Not to worry, but so Heidelberg United and St Albans Saints 1-1. New signing for St Albans Saints, Jay Hart, in the 83rd minute scored the equaliser, and that's a big thing because if you look at the result there, as we said, Heidelberg United moved to 22 points, so they are third. Knights are fourth. Bentley Greens fifth. Oakley Cannons move up to 18 points, so they're now sixth, according to that ladder. So, geez, pretty. I tell you what, very, very interesting. Very interesting at the top of the NPL Victoria competition, mate. One loss would be enough to let you plummet down the ladder, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that's what you want, Tonci. You want the best.
Absolutely.
Playing against the best teams week in, week out, and the best will the cream will always rise to the top, as the saying goes. So it's great to see South Melbourne back up there. They've had a few years of being in the doldrums. I think everybody would agree with me there. But obviously they've got something right, and they're doing really well. Avondale are always going to be up there. It's great to see Melbourne Knights, after a horrid couple of years, back in the fold. So it's a great league, and certainly one that I enjoy watching on a Friday evening for sure.
Yeah, so let's go very, very quickly through some of the fixtures for next week in NPL competition. Friday night sees two good games. Port Melbourne Sharks taking on Green Gully, but the big one out at Kingston Heath Soccer Complex at 8:30 p.m. Bentley Greens hosting Melbourne Knights. Battle between 4th and 5th on the table. The Knights will like you said, Craig, we'll talk a little bit more about the Knights, but they've got a lot of injury concerns, that's for sure. Avondale taking on South Melbourne. Well, that's another big game. It just gets better and better. They're hosting South Melbourne at Avenger Park on Saturday, so that's a 3 p.m. game. Eastern Lions at home to Dandenong City. Hume City at home to Heidelberg United. Dandenong Thunder at home to Altona Magic in a big game out at George Andrews Reserve on Saturday night. And then St Albans Saints host Oakley Cannons on Sunday afternoon. Some good games there, but definitely that Bentley Greens versus Melbourne Knights is a pick of the bunch, isn't it?
Well, there's two. Your Bentley Greens and Avondale, first versus second, and 4th versus 5th. So, a big weekend of football.
Yeah, should be good. All right, let's move out. Take your attention now to NPL 2, Craig.
Yeah, NPL 2. You've got the results up there, Tonch?
Haven't got the results. I've got the ladder there.
Ladder,
if,
okay.
Yeah, if we go through the NPL 2 now. So the results of the games now. Friday night we had Moreland Zebras taking on Moreland City in the Battle of Moreland. It was 1-1 there at CB Smith Reserve. Then we moved on to Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. This was a bit of a shock. Brunswick losing at home to Kingston. Kingston been a little bit up and down. Brunswick been pretty solid for the best part, and coming off a big loss there at home. So they'll want to put that right. North Geelong at home got
destroyed. Just defeated.
Yeah, they got destroyed by Pascoe yesterday. It wasn't a pretty performance. I've got to be careful what I say, but it wasn't a pretty performance. So and Pascoe thoroughly deserved the 5-1 win.
Yes, Pascoe did really well. Second half, Bleach just went rampant there. They move now into third spot. But look, I don't know the score of the Langwarrin and Goulburn Valley game, and that was played on yesterday afternoon. Any idea what the score there was? Because that has a big bearing on the outcome of the top three, doesn't it?
Sure, it was 1-0 to Goulburn Valley, but we'll sure somebody will let us know what the score was in that game.
Well, that means then Goulburn Valley are in third spot. And Pascoe Vale in fourth spot. So look, that's another interesting, isn't it? That division there is another one that mate, anything can happen there.
Yeah. Into the Pascoe Vale coach David Chick yesterday before the game, and just about how difficult this league is, and we both said that it's what's needed for a long time. Is again, we talk about the best playing the best, and you've got the best playing the best in this division week in, week out, and it's a tough league. It's there's some good teams: Brunswick, Kingston, Pascoe Vale, Golden Valley Suns, probably the best football side I've seen this year. Langwarrin, Moreland City, Northcote, Moreland Zebras. We've got ex A-League players playing in this side, so it's a tough league. And but look, 1 or 2 wins as we see there, and we look at North Geelong. Just mentioned on 6 points, 2 wins and they're back in there. So it's a tough league, and one that everybody wants to be involved with for sure.
Now, it's not just a battle for promotion up the top; it's also promotion for a battle for survival down the bottom. Because no one wants to end up in NPL 3 next year. But the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers saw Manningham United Blues overcome Werribee City 2-1 at the Park Avenue Reserve yesterday afternoon. So that was Manningham United's first win of the season. Those two teams really battling, but it's not just that they're trying to stave off the wooden spoon. They're trying to get away from that relegation zone. And, both those teams needed a win yesterday. For Manningham United, they managed to get that victory. So big result for the Blues there.
Yeah, absolutely. They needed that. They had a change in coach in the week, which has obviously done them a world of good. And Werribee really stuck on the bottom with a poor goal difference as well. It's going to be a tough ask for them. But Bulleen Lions also losing yesterday to Northcote, who are also doing pretty well in their back at home on their new pitch there up at John Kay Memorial Park up in Coburg.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic playing surface there. Turning attention to next week, Friday night, Pascoe Vale at home to Langwarrin. Important game there for both teams, but Pascoe Vale especially because they're on a bit of a roll now. Moreland City at home to Werribee City. Big game there for both teams. I mean, it's an understatement. It's a cliche, isn't it, to say big games for both teams. But Manningham United Blues host Brunswick City. It's second last versus top. Brunswick City need that win to stay on top. Manningham United Blues need a win to get away from that relegation zone. Goulburn Valley Suns hosting Northcote City up at John McEwen Reserve on Saturday evening. Then we turn our attention Sunday's game at the Grange Reserve. Kingston City hosting your club, North Geelong Warriors.
Yep. It'll be a bit different. They've actually changed the kickoff time. It was supposed to be 7:45 on a Sunday evening down at Kingston, which is madness.
Why would they do that?
I have no idea, but it's been changed to 5:30. So I think it's a 1:30, 3 o'clock, or 3:30 and 5:30 kickoffs down at the Grange Reserve.
And Bulleen Lions at home to Moreland Zebras on Monday night at the Veneto Club in their customary 8:15 p.m. Time slot. NPL 3, let's move along to that. And it's at the top of the tree there. Great to see Preston Lions doing so well. I think they did quite well on the weekend, but starting off with their game on Friday night against Box Hill United, they recorded a 2-0 win over Box Hill to maintain their position at the summit of NPL 3, Craig.
Yeah, look, they just go from strength to strength. I don't see anybody beating them this year, or certainly getting closer than Western United. Probably the only ones. So that should be some game next week. I think they both play each other next Friday evening. So that should be a cracker. But Springvale White Eagles losing at home to Western United. Obviously there was some goings on at West Springvale White Eagles the week before, where one of their players in one of the youngsters' sides under 20s, I think, got sent off for a karate kick, and I have heard the rumours that Springvale White Eagles may be deducted points for that. Geelong Soccer Club went up to Ballarat City and got a 2-1 win with a very, very late winner, I think 94th minute. So there was a video on there on Geelong's social media with the crowd and the supporters jumping on the pitch and celebrating. So Geelong getting the win there at Ballarat, and Michael Long's favourite team down there, Nunawading, defeating Doveton, which is a very good result for them. 5-0 at home against high flying Doveton's soccer club, Tonci.
Wow, that's a massive result, isn't it? I mean, Doveton were really doing well. A win there would have kept Doveton in second spot. I think that's where they were. And then, or they may have been in third spot, but they've dropped now, and really moving away from that second position with Western United. However, as you said, next week is going to be a big game, but big result there. Michael, did you go to that game? Give us a little bit of a brief rundown in the comment section. And then later this evening, Melbourne Victory took on North Sunshine Eagles up at Epping Stadium. And the Victory recorded a 1-0 win. So the Victory now moved to 11 points on the ladder. That means they're in fifth spot, but they could be dislodged very, very quickly, because this evening, Craig, Melbourne City are taking on Whittlesea Rangers at Casey Fields as we speak, a Sunday night game there. And if they win that, well, they'll jump back into fifth spot, or in fact, they'll overtake Doveton if they can win that, and they'll be in third spot, won't they?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see one of the Victory teams winning, Tom. So that'll be yeah. And Geelong was just saying, yes, James Brown scored. A new signing from Dandy scored, and Danny scored a brace.
There you go. Well done. Okay, moving along to State League 1 competition. Now, we're going to have a guest from the Brimbank Stallions, Craig, a little later on in the show.
Yeah, we are. We have their captain of many years. He's been there. He's been there for probably 6 years now. Thomas Galley. He's going to come on and talk about their season so far. And I think they believe they had a 1-0 win yesterday, which has kept them in that second spot in State League 1, just behind George Cross, who had a 2-0 win yesterday.
Indeed, they did. Banyul City hosted Brimbank Stallions at Yalambee Park Reserve. They went 1-0 down, and Banyul City, one of the clubs that was, considered rather prominent for the, or considered high-flying, favourites for this season. They've really struggled. They're in second last position there. But if we go to the top of the results list, on Friday night at Cross Keys Reserve, Essendon Royals defeated Sydenham Park 2-1. to maintain their grip on that top three position, if you like. Corio Soccer Club and Fitzroy City, the battle of the cellar dwellers, if you like, they met at Hume Reserve, and Corio went down 1-2 to Fitzroy City. So Corio, for the first time this year, find themselves on the bottom of the ladder, the newly promoted Geelong side. At Quarries Park, Craig, Clifton Hill came up against Altona City. What was the outcome there?
I'm just getting the results up. My screen's frozen, Tom, so you have to bear with me, mate. I can't do anything on my screen.
Not a problem. We are having technological issues tonight. If it's not the computer and internet, it's obviously things to do with Facebook and YouTube tonight. Not sure what's going on there, but having said that, as we mentioned, Brimbank Stallions defeated Banyule City 1-0. George Cross had a good 2-0 win over Keilor Park, and that was at Keilor Park Recreation Reserve. That was on Saturday evening. A good result for the leaders there. They remain undefeated, as do the Stallions up the top there. They've got a very narrow 2-point lead over Brimbank Stallions, but they've opened up a sizable 4-point gap now over third-placed Essendon Royals. Actually maintained that 4-point gap, so that's a good result. The Clifton Hill Altona City game, Craig?
Clifton Hill won that 1-0, Tonch.
Oh, brilliant. And the other game was Whittlesea United and Yarraville Glory.
Yeah, well, that's been played this afternoon, Tonch, and I believe it was a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw there. So Yarraville now, that means Yarraville gets a point, so they'll be on 12 points, and Whittlesea United will be on 8 points. So that's there we go. We've got the
no change in the league in the ladder position there.
No. Now, if we move, turn our attention now to State 2. State League 2, and this is another one of the games that hasn't been fully updated, I suppose, but we do know that there has been no change at the top of the competition standings there. Strathmore defeated Albion Rovers 5-2, so obviously they're on 18 points. Hume United second in 16, and then we've got Altona East on 11, Western Suburbs on 11. So we'll go through some of those results. Moreland United took on Hume United, and Hume United came away with a 3-1 win. Geelong Rangers hosted Altona East Phoenix up at Myers Reserve in Geelong. 1-1 was the score there. Western Suburbs defeated Hoppers Crossing 1-0 at Ralph Reserve. And we've got the Rayman. He was not too happy, Brenton Ray, because there was an incident that happened at the Western Suburbs Hoppers Crossing game where an opposition supporter had a go in the reserves fixture. Disgraceful abuse, taunts towards me, and I think Brenton was the linesman, assistant linesman there, or volunteered to put his hand up to be assistant linesman. We don't want to see any of that. You know, when people are putting the volunteering and people are doing their thing, what's the word? Doing their darndest to help the club out, help the sport out, and then you get that sort of stuff. You don't need that. Absolutely don't need that. So, as we said, Strathmore FC Strathmore are at the top of the competition standings there. They are on 18 points, followed by Hume United on 6 points. Very, very quickly, we'll go through the NPLW ladder. Calder United are playing their game, I think it's tomorrow night. So they'll be in action, doing extremely well at the near the top of the standings. And then we're moving our way to the VPLW competition. We've got a late result there from one of the games played earlier today. Now, Melbourne Knights took on Preston Lions on Friday night at the Summer Street Stadium and went down 5-0 to Preston. Preston doing really, really well in that league. Geelong Galaxy, the other Western team, I guess, Western region team, they took on the Eltham Redbacks earlier today, and Galaxy came away from North Eltham Reserve with a 3-1 win, their second win of the season. So the Galaxy girls shoot up to 6 points now, and they would be, I think, in sixth spot, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's a good position to be in. Now, I think Craig's back. Craig, are you back there? Have we got you on board?
I am, Tons, but I think you've got me on mute.
Oh, that's all right. We've got you in the background there. and just as we're getting rid of some of all of these ladders now. Mate, we've got a guest coming up very, very shortly. Is that right?
We have, yeah, in the background. He's ready to come on. He's been waiting patiently. We've been a little bit behind with time, but first up on this on the show this evening, Tonci, we've got CHRIS Oldfield, MPL legend, now the current goalkeeper and captain of Altona Magic. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thanks for holding on.
Chris, great to have you on the show. It's Tonci Prusak here. Well, first of all, I guess a point gained against a team like Port Melbourne yesterday is a pretty good result. Jonas Markovski scored in the 66th minute, but you must be kicking yourself that just 5 minutes later, John Quall equalised for Port Melbourne. Is consistency or maintaining that consistency a bit of a problem at the moment at Paisley Park for the lads?
I think there's been a lot of change at the club.
Yep.
I think the inconsistency and the stability that's needed in a good team hasn't been there. But I think the coaching staff you've brought in now, there's been a massive change. There's been a massive culture in the club, and it's pretty much swung pole opposite than what it was. So there's been a lot of changes for the good at the club.
Mm-hmm.
And since the new coach has come in along with new players, we've actually played probably the better football in both games, and we should have come away with both wins. It's just a matter of getting 3 points now. But credit to the boys, they've adapted to the new coach, the way he wants to play, and the new players that he's brought in have really done well. It's just a matter of now us getting 3 points and we'll kick on, because we've been doing really well over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, look, Chris, you spoke there very briefly about the culture, and some obviously there's a few players have moved on over the last week or so through the transfer window. Obviously now there's some new players come into the fold. Obviously, everybody is fully aware of the amount of players that came through the door at the start of the season, and expectations were that Magic would do very, very well. But you've been around the traps for long enough to understand that just because you get a lot of players in and good players, it doesn't mean they gel and they get on. How difficult has those first sort of 10 rounds been for the club? Obviously, a number of coaches have come in. You've talked about Savas coming in now and settling down the team, and obviously Craig Moore's come in from Football Federation alongside him. And I know I was speaking to Chris yesterday, and he was talking about we've just gone back to basics. And I've watched the game back today, and certainly I've commentated on a number of your games, and certainly the game that I saw last night, you seem to be playing some decent football last night. So how there's about 13 questions in that one.
I was counting 12, 13. I lost count.
Tonci there, but how difficult has it been with all the new players coming in at the start of the season for you as a club? And you were one of those.
Obviously, when I came in about 2 weeks before the season started. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. And when I got there, I picked up on a few things. I came into a club that there's a lot of big names in there who I've played against for years, and some of them are my friends, some of them I never played with. And I actually said that we wouldn't hit our traps till around 7. I said, but this team isn't ready. I said that straight out. It's not ready. I go to the coach and staff. I come in and seen it. I've been at clubs where by round 1 everyone's gelled and ready. I'm ready to go. And when I was at Avondale, we had a big change of players. We got beat every single pre-season game, and then we went 9 games unbeaten at the start of the season. Whereas when I came into this team, I didn't see the same. And I said to the coach and staff, if you think that we're going to go out and kick start and go on a big run, it's not going to happen. This team's not ready for that at the minute. And I'm honest, I'm quite upfront and honest with a lot of things. Probably why the coach put me as captain, but I didn't see it going the way maybe other people did. But the players that they come in, they got a lot of experience, so it took time, but now it's starting to gel and starting to work well. And with a bit of stability from the coaching staff and the way they want to play, the players are starting to take to it. It was just a matter of previous managers didn't implement that as much as what Sav does. Whereas there's no getting away with what Sav wants to do. It's his way and that's it. Whereas maybe there's a bit too much more lenience prior. And because obviously, as you're aware, a lot of big names, big players, that's all they need. They need someone to tell them what to do. This is what you're doing. This is your role. Don't do anything else other than this. And generally, that's the basic way of doing it. And I think that's what Craig was referring to when he said about getting back to the basics. Just do your job. Just do football. That's all. This game is very simple. People make it complicated. I think that's the thing. The coaching staff has pretty much went back to basics and went, let's just play football. And the players have took to it.
What's the aim, Chris? I mean, obviously, if you're an Altona Magic supporter tuning into the show now, listening to those words, you're at the moment, second last position, thinking, great, we're going to escape relegation this year. But with everything now starting to click and everything else starting to gel, obviously not just escaping relegation is the aim for the squad come season's end. Where are you looking at trying to finish? So, obviously everyone's going to say, top 4 finals and all that kind of stuff. But, have you sort of set yourself a target and said, we want to be mid-table or top third or anything like that? Where do you guys realistically see yourself at the end of the season?
If you look at the next 2 games, we got Dandy Thunder and St Albans. They're above us by a point. St Albans by a point. I didn't check the results tonight. They play Heidelberg tonight. And Thunder, I think, 2. So if we manage to nick 2 wins in the next 2 games, we go 7th, I think. And then we're right outside the top 6.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say, we're going to go for top 6 at the minute. We're taking it game by game because of the drastic changes we've put in. However, this league, and one thing I've noticed is, especially when I was at other clubs, you can put 7 wins together and you can go top of the league. It's ridiculous. I've never been in a league like it where you can run away with it, lose 4 games, and someone's right up behind you again. Yeah. The club hasn't put a goal in place. At the minute, we're just taking it game by game.
Yeah.
But if we get a few wins and the momentum changes, you never know where you can finish. That's because last year Oakley did it. They didn't win a game for 9 games. They went without getting a win, and then they won the last. I don't know what it was like. They won the last 9, I think, 9 or 10, and then near the end they'll finish in 3rd.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right in what you said then, Chris. It's looking at the games and the games that are coming up over the next couple of weeks and beating those teams around you. Your St Albans, your Dandenong Thunders. Don't worry about the rest for the moment. They're important, but they're not as important as the teams around you. So you get on a bit of a run. We put two results together, and as you said, that lifts you off the bottom of the table there, or sort of bottom but 1 on the table. Sorry to do you an injustice there, but it's about beating those teams around you, isn't it, at this stage of the season?
Yeah, correct. I said Sav and the coach staff came in. They put a lot of changes in. A lot of personnel went out. New personnel came in. The first game was against Eastern Lions. We should have beaten Eastern Lions, and that's a team that beat Hume City, and they're above us. They've got results from some big teams this year. And then we played Port Melbourne. We should have beat them, and they've also beat big teams. So we're going in the right direction. It's just a matter of getting that monkey off our back and getting the first win. And the momentum will keep going. They'll keep falling forward and we'll keep rolling. It's just a matter of just getting that monkey off our back now and just getting the first win.
Now, Chris, you've been a long-standing stalwart of the NPL Victoria competition. Now, at the top of the program, Craig and I were just saying, how good is this year's edition? I mean, there's 5 teams in the top 5, and I think 2 points separate them. But there's 3 teams on 22 points at the top of the competition standings. Forget the EPL, forget the A-League, forget AFL. NPL Victoria is all about. It is one exciting competition as a fan, and especially after the year we had or didn't have last year. I don't know about you, mate, as a player, but we as fans are reveling. What about you as a player? You must be really enjoying being a part of the competition this year.
It's funny you say this because prior to the season starting, obviously we all know each other in the league and all the players talking, and we all pretty much said that this league, this season is going to be crazy. Anyone will win it this season because everyone's momentum stopped when COVID kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
All of the team's momentum just completely stopped. Players went home. Players went back to England. Players went all over the place to play. A lot of teams had to rebuild. A lot of teams had to change staff. A lot of some players actually lost their biggest stars as well.
Mm.
And then when we all came in, we were like, anyone could win it this year. And as you can tell, the middle table and the pretty much from relegation to about 7th position, I think it's like 5 points between. The bottom from relegation zone to 7th, like 5 points.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and then the top section is just so tight. But the typical teams are starting to get wins. Obviously, South Melbourne they've surprised me, to be honest with you. I didn't think that they'd be doing as well as what they are. Avondale is typical. Heidelberg is typical. Oakley, Bentley. They're all the big teams in the league. They're obviously starting to get momentum now. But you're right. This is I'm Melbourne Knights. Sorry, yeah. Melbourne Knights are also surprising me as well. This league, anyone this year?
How does the league? Obviously, you've played in the UK. Obviously, you're a British lad there, and you've played in the professional ranks over there in the UK, including at Bangor City, I think for a season back in 2011. How does it fare compared to back home for those that don't understand what English football is like, or Welsh football as it is, compares to the NPL, Chris?
When I played for Bangor, I found it a lot more physical. When I was in the lower leagues too in England, it's a lot more physical. It's whether that be because referees are a bit more lenient over there, I'm not sure, but your tackles were flying and everyone was getting elbowed. It's a lot more direct football than what it is here. Here they try and play football and try and go through lines, whereas when I was at Bangor, they had Les Davies up front, a big guy, and we just put it to Les. Les held it up and we had the wings run off him, and the midfielders just picked second balls up. But they were good at doing it. They won the league off just doing that. So it's in comparison, I think the UK football and the Welsh football is extremely more physical. A lot more. You find there's a lot more men in that league too, older, anywhere from 28 to 36, and that holds a lot more older players in that league. Whereas over here, you get a lot of youngsters running around, and a lot of like 20. Again, any age from 19 to 27, you find that's the average age in this league. Whereas in the Welsh Prem, they were a lot older, like men, 30, 31, 32, 34, all the way up. Yeah. So there's a lot more experience league.
Yeah, I had a pleasure of playing in the Welsh Prem myself, Chris, many moons ago, and I actually finished my playing career at Bangor City in a FAW Welsh Cup semi-final. I think we lost, and I did my cruciate ligaments and never kicked a ball since. So playing for Cumbrian Town at the time, so who you would have played against, I'm sure. But you're right. I think it is a lot more physical. Certainly, I enjoy watching NPL. I actually prefer watching NPL than A-League, and I think
absolutely.
A lot of people have started to see that now. It's more. Whilst it's not like UK football, it's certainly more like UK football than the A-League is, which I think, I went to, as I said, Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne, and it was quick, it was fast, it was passionate, and you don't see that in the A-League. And I think, until they sort that out, I think the A-League's certainly going to go down and down in everybody's mindset, I think, and people will start turning towards the NPL. What's your thoughts on that?
The thing that I've never understood, when I come over here, everyone used to speak about the NSL and how good the NSL was, and they said, to stop because the cultures and the nationalities of people. I don't know about you, but in the UK, Scousers don't like Manx. Football's built on rivalry. Whether it be culture, whether it be an area or a postcode or an area, it doesn't make a difference. Football's built on rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
That's what creates passion. That's what creates atmosphere. I'm not saying go and hurt people at a football game, but there has to be some sort of rivalry. That's what football was made from. Like when I was in England, we used to play. I was from a place called Liveland, the lads in Bootle used to come to the park. We used to play against each other, Liverpool and First Bootle, and the passion was there. And that's a 5-minute walk away.
Yeah.
This is some grassroots football, and I've never understood why he stopped it and said, "Oh, we can't," because I don't know, the Albanians are playing the Macedonians, or the Macedonians are playing the Greeks, or whatever. It doesn't make a difference. It's football.
Speaking of which, your team. Yeah, speaking of which, your team, Altona Magic, will be taking on Dandenong Thunder, which represent the Albanian community, next Saturday night. Should be a blockbuster there at George Andrews Reserve. A must-win game for both teams in many, many ways. What can we expect from that game? Do you know much about Dandenong Thunder?
Yeah, and I know they just found Hamish. Hamish is a lad that I know of. He's a striker signed from New Zealand. He's a big boy, physical. He's a decent asset to the team they've got. But they're not about a bad team. There'll be a physical game, especially at their ground. The fans will get behind them, and it's either you stand up at that ground, or you'll get rolled, because that ground, the fans get in your ear. And you got to be stand up and be a man at that ground, not you'll crumble. Nice. And if our team doesn't rock up and don't want to be a part of it, then we'll get rolled. But I'm sure the boys, they won't intimidate the lads who have been playing this league for years. Yeah. They've been there plenty of times. They know what it's about.
Now, as a goalkeeper, that ground, they tend to stand behind the one goals there down at Dandenong Thunder. I suppose the big question for everybody, mate, is will you be taking part in the game? Obviously, you came off last night at halftime, I believe, with what looked like a quad injury. How is the injury?
I've got scans this week on it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Fingers crossed it's not bad, but it doesn't feel great today. I've been icing it most of the day. But yeah, I had a grade 3 in my quad last year, because I don't feel injured. I don't know. I've never been injured in my life. Honestly, I've had one injury when I was 18, and then now I've had a grade 3 in my quad 2 years back, and now this doesn't feel too good, to be honest with you. So, fingers crossed we get a good result from the scans on Wednesday. But the likelihood is, I'll be missing the game on Saturday.
Well, I hope the scans are favourable for you, mate, and certainly the result for the Magic next week goes in the way of Magic. Tonci.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we hope so too.
Absolutely, mate. On that note, thank you very much, Chris, for joining us and giving us a good insight both into the Altona Magic resurgence there at Paisley Park, as well as your own insight comparing the game between the NPL and the UK. So all the very best, mate, with those scans on Wednesday night.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks for your time, Chris. All the best, pal.
Absolute pleasure. That was CHRIS Oldfield, the Altona Magic senior team captain, in fact, not just the player. Craig will be now jumping off the line very, very quickly, and he's going to be getting our next guest on the line, and hopefully that will be Anthony Duzel from the Melbourne Knights. And speaking of rivalries and what you're not, he'll be joining us very shortly to talk about all of that. Don't go away. A few words from our sponsors coming up right up.
Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at George's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Rise, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at George's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 57, and a big shout out to our main sponsor for this year, the George Cross Football Club, home of the award-winning Georgie's on Vista Bistro restaurant. Craig, we've got our next guest already itching to go.
He is, and thanks for hanging on the line. It's great news to have Anthony Duzel joining us on the show this evening. Good evening.
How you going, mate?
Very well. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Very good. Tonci.
Anthony, good to have you on the program. Thank you for being a part of tonight's show. Tonci here. Mate, we talked about with CHRIS OLDFIELD from Altona Magic, and he was comparing the game in, I guess, the NPL and football back in his home country of the UK. And he was talking about how football, particularly over there, is built on rivalry. It's all about rivalry. Well, mate, you've probably had arguably the biggest week of your playing career, having played the Knights' biggest rival, South Melbourne, twice in the matter of, 6 days. Mate, what was it? What was it like? I mean, we had Aidan Bryce on the show last week, and he said this is what you as a player look forward to. But mate, you obviously with your dad, Ivan, who was a legend back in the NSL days, who ripped the grounds playing against South Melbourne many a time. What was it like for you to carry on that family tradition and that club tradition as well?
Yeah, look, every time you step on the field against South Melbourne, you want to win. So it doesn't really matter if it's the league, half a pre-season game. You just want to beat them. Especially with the club having such a rich history against South Melbourne. There's always a game where orders come out. It's a big deal going around growing the club. Everyone gets up for it more than just a normal regular game. And with both teams just want to win it. You know, you want to have bragging rights during the week or for the rest of the season. You know, if there's one game that anyone wants to win, it's against South Melbourne.
Yeah, no, obviously we're having a bit of trouble with videos tonight, but we were hoping to get certainly the goals from Tuesday night's game down at the Lakeside Stadium there, and bitterly disappointed evening for you guys in the end, obviously, with South Melbourne scoring in the 94th minute, having you guys gone one up through Aidan Bryce. What were your thoughts at that time when that goal went in on 94 minutes?
Oh, look, the first half was we didn't play our best before the first half. I think South Melbourne put us really under the pump. We did well to not concede. Not to say that we didn't have our own chances, but I think they were just a little bit on top of us. They came out very aggressive. They came out very direct, where we came out sticking to our game plan of trying to play the best football we can. When it's half time, obviously had to change a few things, change a few tactical things. Came out of the second half, started to get on top of them, started to dominate, scored the goal, which we thought was going to be enough. But then South Melbourne done it a few times where they get the 91st, 94th minute equalisers.
Now we've got that footage on screen now, Anthony. Was it a penalty in your eyes?
Oh, look, yeah, they're both muscling each other in the box. Sawyer's obviously made the run off him, and Nicholas grabbed the hold of him, pulled him back. For a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", he's fallen over pretty easily, but you'd say it's a penalty. Got to be fair, got to be honest.
I've looked at that the replay of that a couple of times today, and I'm not sure. I'll take your word for it. The referee wasn't in a good position to give penalty either.
That's what the lines didn't really flag for it, hey. So it was one of those ones where we wish we had VAR, to be honest. But it is what it is.
Exactly. But look, that obviously that went in. Obviously, it went then into extra time, and unfortunately for Knights, it wasn't to be the win that you guys expected. And obviously, South Melbourne get through to the next round. So look, bitterly disappointed. I know I spoke to Steve, I think on Wednesday or Thursday.
Gentlemen, welcome
Wednesday or Thursday, and obviously he was bitterly disappointed on it. But as all good coaches do, they can't dwell on it. And it was about preparing yourselves for obviously another battle on Friday up at Summer Street. And obviously the result went very differently this time with you guys. With you guys getting a 1-0 win through a goal through Dorjock, who followed up on your effort early in the second half.
Yeah, look, we was a quick turnaround. We had Matthew Breeze go down with injury. We had we had Aidan Bryce go down through injury from the FA Cup game. Quick turnaround. We had to refocus. Everyone had to regroup, and it was another big game. It was an opportunity again to knock them off. They haven't lost the game all season. We knew they were going to be up for it. We just had to get up for it again and forget about Tuesday. And I really thought on Friday night we were the better team. We changed the tactics a lot from Tuesday to something that's going to suit us a bit better. And full credit to the coach for doing that. It worked. I was unlucky not to score that goal. Good save by Steve Clark, but it was good that Dorjock was just there, so tapped it in for his first goal in his debut.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was he's been pulling up trees in the under-20s and obviously got his opportunity because of I suppose injuries and a change of formation for Steve. But how good did he do on the night? Because I was at the game and I thought he was fantastic. To be fair, lots of running into areas, quick, strong. Long strides on him. He did cause the South Melbourne defence a few problems.
Look, he's come in. He came in about 2-3 weeks ago. He looked really sharp in training. Obviously it's taking him a few weeks to just adapt to senior football here in MPL Victoria, which is a little bit different to obviously in West Australia. He's playing in the 20s and he's scored I think something like 8 goals in 3 games, 9 goals in 3 games. We scored 5 in 1. So he's like he can really find the back of the net, and that's something that I think personally throughout the season we've been missing. Someone who can really just score week in, week out, and just make the chances come from nothing really.
Now, we heard from Aidan last week, and Aidan said that the priority, in his opinion, was the Cup because that could bring the club national exposure. The league would be there, win, lose or draw, I suppose. But look, at the end of the day, beating South Melbourne in any game, even a practice match, is something that is is worth celebrating. But all right, Tuesday night you didn't get through, but Friday night you did record a win, and geez, in your eyes, how sweet was that revenge win, if you want to put it that way? How sweet was that victory on Friday night for you?
Yeah, massive. It was massive. It was massive boost for us off the squad, especially after losing on Tuesday and getting knocked out of the FA Cup, which is something that we take very seriously at Melbourne Knights. It was just huge to get the win, obviously, and really cement our spot in the top 6 for the moment until the half season comes.
I'll tell you how excited he was and how much pleasure he got out of it. When Jock scored the goal, I've never seen anybody run so fast to go and celebrate with Steve as a coach.
It was a good moment as well because that was from my shot.
Yeah, you ran 50 meters to jump on him, and it all went wild on the touchline. But it was a good strike, and obviously, I suppose a bittersweet win. I suppose from Tuesday's disappointment to beating them, and now they've lost their unbeaten run, and you've closed the gap at the top of the league. And one thing I really admire with the side this year is how organised the side is. From I suppose what it's been over the last couple of years, where different styles of coaches have come in, but Steve's certainly got a way of how he wants to play and how you guys are going to set up, and it certainly looks a lot more structured than it has been in past. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, Steve's come in and really changed the club's mentality, changed the club's philosophy of the game. I think in past years we've been more of a direct club, where we sort of just direct. We sort of just played around 9. Play off him, things like that. But this year it's really about playing football, everyone to express themselves, and playing a good brand of football, And it's something that our supporters obviously are enjoying to watch because there's a lot of them coming out these days. and it's obviously playing dividends and making dividends because we're sitting at the moment. I think it's fourth now for Heidelberg's draw today, and really it's really close up there. So anything can really happen at the moment.
Yeah, and a big game, this weekend for you down at down at Bentley Greens, and a win there, and a draw for a win for you guys down at Bentley, and a draw for Avondale in South Melbourne. Could see you top of the ladder on the weekend.
Yeah, well, 100%. I won't be taking part this Friday. I got my 5th yellow, so it's not the best, but I'll definitely be there for supporting the boys on the sidelines and hopefully come back to the squad next week.
Yeah, perfect.
Who do we expect to be back in the squad for this week?
I think I'm not really too sure on Alan Webb and John Albano after last week's game.
Yeah, what happened to Webby? Was his hamstring?
So
did he pull up on his
hamstring? I think Webby's hamstring's a bit ginger. I don't think he's pulled it or anything like that, so he hopefully will be okay. Taylor Mikulic should be coming back into the squad this week. Aidan Bryce should be coming in, and Nick Glover, I think, will be out for a while. He looks like he's torn his hamstring in the game with South Melbourne.
Yeah, and you mentioned Alan Webb there with his hamstring. For those that don't know, actually Knights played for the last 15 minutes or so, and they were really under the pump in the last 15 minutes from but they actually played with 10 men, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony was.
We played with 10 men on Friday, and then when Breezy went down on Tuesday, we got our second goalkeeper to come in as a number 9.
Yeah, that's
Harry Chuckeron coming on as an outfield player, and maybe he might be called into some on-field action again this Friday against the Greens.
Yeah, look, the young fella's backing himself. He's very 14 in honour of Pierre Henry, and he reckons he's got some similarities to Pierre Henry. So we'll see about that.
All goalkeepers think they can play centre forward, mate. That's a trait of being a goalkeeper.
Well, he was talking to me that he might just take the gloves off and try to score some goals for us this year.
Well, Anthony, we wish you all the very, very best. It's going to be a tough next couple of weeks until some of those players come back from injury. But look, the Knights have done exceptionally well so far, and hopefully that run can continue. It's great to see some of the big clubs doing so well, and certainly the Melbourne Knights, the biggest of them all here in the western region of Melbourne, Victoria, indeed. So, mate, wishing you all the very, very best. But one final thing, there was talk at a pre-match function about a second division, and the momentum seems to be building, and games like and rivalries such as South Melbourne versus Knights would factor so much into that. For you personally, being part of a club that could possibly be involved in a national second division, there must be exciting times ahead, not just for you, but for the Knights.
Yeah, of course. Teams like Melbourne Knights, the South Melbournes, they've always been used to playing in the top league. Always used to just producing players and things like that. And with a second league coming in, it can sort of put teams back on the map again, and just really just improve the footballing side of things in Australia at the moment, because it's just the A-League by itself. A lot of players are missing out on contracts and things like that. Not necessarily for not being good enough, but for just not enough clubs being around and not getting correct pathway up to the senior team. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, mate. Well, we'll have to leave it at that. We really, really are well into extra time, as was the case down at Lakeside Stadium last Tuesday. But, mate, wishing you all the very best. Anthony, thank you very, very much. And do say hi to your old man, Ivan. He was a legend of the club back in the 90s.
No worries, guys. Thank you for having me, and I will do that.
Thanks, Anthony. All the best.
Thanks. No worries. Ciao, bye.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. That was Anthony Duzel from the Melbourne Knights. Craig, who's going to be our next guest? We will have a bit of a break, but who's coming up on the other side of the break?
We've got a very special guest coming up on the other side of the break. Tonci, a good friend of the show. He's been with us a couple of times, and he's going to be coming on to talk about his beloved Manchester City and the rise of Manchester City. It's none other than ex Foxtel Supremo, best commentator in Australia, in Simon Hill. He'll be joining us just after the break.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 57. We're deep into extra time now. And Craig, our next guest.
Yes, we welcome to the show the best commentator I've heard down here in Australia. Legend of the commentating world, I think we should call him. It's a massive Manchester City fan, Simon Hill. Welcome to the show.
You saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. I said blue moon.
Thank you for that. That's very kind of you.
I thought, Simon, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. I thought Craig was going to do a live version of that. He was going to sing it. He's been practicing all afternoon, I'm told.
That's very good. Very good.
Hello, Craig.
You've got me on mute, Tonci, have you?
Nah. You just muted yourself, but we can hear you now. Go on, mate.
How are you, Mr. Hill?
Well, I'm very good, thank you. I had my first COVID jab on Friday, so I've had a bit of a rough weekend, to be honest, but I'm okay today.
You don't look old enough to have a jab.
Oh, yeah, sadly I am.
Unfortunately, I am the same, mate, so I've got to get mine done soon as well. So,
can I tell you, Craig, make sure you take a day or two off afterwards, because it knocks you about a bit, let me tell you.
Yeah, perfect.
Simon, mate, what's been happening over the last few months, I suppose? Let's start off with your podcast. It's still going strong, and we love hearing the podcast. And but it seems to be a real what's the word? Cross-continental or cross-global sort of a show. The technology these days allows us to host from numerous different continents.
Yeah, the podcast still going strong. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult these days because Craig Moore is over in Scotland doing his thing over there. And Zelko went to Greece, of course, to work with Tony Popovic and Zanti, but he's no longer there. So he's now in Croatia. So we do it all we record at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. And that's just about late enough for them to stay up and do it. And it's just about early enough for me to get up over here. So it's a bit tricky, but we get it done. And we've had some good guests and some good interaction. Got a fairly loyal audience. So it's fun to do.
Great.
Can you give us a bit of an insight? Is Zelko coming back to Melbourne with Tony?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's a possibility, but I don't know whether Zelko is 100% sold on the idea of coming back yet. So I'm not quite sure where that's at, to be brutally honest.
No.
Well, last I heard, he's just hanging out at Mark Viduka's cafe and enjoying life and being interviewed by the Croatian press there and what you not. But imagine that, Popovic and Kalac on one side, and then you've got Rudan and Frank Juric on the other side, and whoa, that could be quite that just off-field would be good for rivalry there, hey?
Could be some fireworks. Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you what. Simon, but have we got a little bit of a teaser? What podcast fans can hear this after tomorrow's episode? Do we know who the guests are?
We do. Unfortunately, I can bring you a little bit of exclusive news that our guest tomorrow, Callum Elder from Hull City, has unfortunately told us he can't do it tomorrow because they're playing today. And I think they've got a bit of a party planned because they've been promoted, of course. They've won the championship in League One. So we're going to delay him till later on in the week, and we'll put it out as a bit of a standalone special. So the first time we've done that, but obviously, this is what you're sometimes dealing with when you're getting guests from overseas. It's tricky to tie up the times. So, but we will have him, and instead we're going to do a bit of a chat in the final segment, which is normally reserved for our special guests with Spider and Maury about some of their favourite memories of their playing careers at club level. So that should be interesting to listen to. Hopefully they've got good stories both.
Yeah, Maury will have a few from his Glasgow derbies, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought you were going to say Celtic then. He played for Rangers, obviously.
So listen, the reason we got you on the show tonight was to have a chat about your beloved Manchester City. finally, after I saw something on a post the other day, and some guys were leaving some comments on your post there. After 20 odd years and $3 billion, you finally got to the Champions League. As a Manchester City fan, what does it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm delighted that they've got to the final at last. Has taken a while. It's an odd one, this, because I think most City fans will tell you we have a pretty awkward relationship with the Champions League, to be honest. That's not to say that I'm not pleased we're in the final. Of course I am. I don't think we're probably UEFA's favourite club, although there's probably another 11 that's just joined them in recent days. So I think it's more about getting the monkey off the club's back, to be honest, and just winning the thing. Yeah. It's become such a talking point over the years, probably more outside the club than it has been inside the club, or at least in terms of the supporters. And, you know, clearly football has changed an awful lot in recent years. And, you know, I have to say a lot of it I don't necessarily like or agree with. You know, you look at the money that's been spent by City, and everybody will say, "Oh, you're only in the final because of money." Well, okay, I understand that argument, but if you trace the genesis of where football has gone over the last 15, 20 years, what City have done, and Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain and others, is a direct result of what the G14 started back in the early 90s, both with the Premier League and with the Champions League. And they were trying to drive that financial gap into a chasm so other clubs like City and Chelsea couldn't compete. So the only way to compete was to get a sugar daddy. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with it, but that's the reality of football. And I think the Super League story over the last couple of weeks has been the natural end result of that. And I think what I'm most disappointed with City is that we signed up to that, because we spent the last 15 years arguing against the establishment view of the football world. And yet when push came to shove, we signed on the dotted line and pulled up the drawbridge on everybody else. It's, you know, pure selfishness. So that my feelings are a little bit mixed. Of course, in a pure football sense, I'm delighted my club is there. I'm a City fan since birth. My family's ensconced in being City fans back for generations. They'll always be my club, and I'll always support them. But there's a part of me that doesn't like, where football has gone. I just see Michael Ong there, who's having a crack at me throughout his messages. Russian oil versus Arab oil. Well, yeah, that might be true, Michael. But guess what? It was your club, because I know you're a Liverpool fan, and others that took us to this precipice in the first place by instigating both the Premier League, and I know City were a part of that as well, but particularly the Champions League, and trying to ring fence the money in the first place. So careful what you wish for.
Simon, let's talk about I'll call it the whole European Super League fracas, however you want to call it. We've seen UEFA handing out the fines and warnings and this and that, and clubs having to apologise and what you're not. In your opinion, what sort of an effect will this have? Firstly, on the future of the EPL, English Premier League, and secondly, European football or the Champions League?
Well, I think what's slipped through underneath the radar of a lot of people, and understandably so, in the farrago around the Super League, is the revised Champions League that we're going to get in 2024-25, which to me is almost just as bad, to be honest. I mean, they're expanding it to 36 teams. We're going to have 10 games in the group instead of 6 at the moment. In fact, it's not even going to be a group. It's going to be one massive 36-team league. And I was just reading today, because I'm researching a story I'm going to write about this on the Footyology website later on this week. And they can't even tell us how they're going to divvy up the fixtures. All it will say is we will see the bigger clubs able to play each other at an earlier stage of the competition than before. So, in effect, this is going to be a mini Super League in all but name. So I'm not sold on that idea at all. Is it the lesser of two evils? Yes, absolutely. Because at least there is, some sort of sporting meritocracy in allowing clubs that finish high up in their domestic leagues to qualify for the thing, and they're not ring fencing it through promotion and particularly no lack of relegation. But I think we're heading down a very dangerous road in football at the moment, particularly in Europe. How's it going to affect the Premier League? Probably not an awful lot, to be honest. I mean, I hear that they're going to fine or take action against the 6 clubs that unilaterally decided to go in the Super League. Well, what are they going to do? Fine them 10 million, 20 million? I mean, that's like $5 to me and you, to these people. So unless they're going to, physically demote them or take points off them, which I doubt they would do, but you never know. I don't think much will change. But I think where it could change, and this is the absolute key, is if government is willing and able to get involved and perhaps change the ownership structures of football clubs. And by that, I mean, not only fit and proper persons tests, but, maybe put down in statutes that clubs have to have some sort of fan representation on the board. Then, maybe we will get some sort of restoration of equilibrium. It's a long shot, to be honest. Football has gone down this road for so long. I can't see that these owners who are worth millions and billions of dollars voluntarily giving up these assets that they paid so much for. So it is going to be dependent upon governments. And I just saw somebody there, Mark, saying, the German system, 50+1 is great. But how do you implement that when you've already got mega rich owners who've paid millions out for clubs? You can't just take it off. Well, maybe you can just take it off them, but there would be an almighty stink if you tried to do that. And I doubt, given the government that's in charge, particularly in the UK, which is all for capital and making money anyway, I doubt whether they would get involved in that. But you never know.
Yeah, but they won't have the backbone to points relegation or anything else, Simon. It'll be a fine, and that's what will come out. And like you said, it's peanuts to those guys. But but on the other side to that, and we talk about Manchester City again now, and whilst they have spent a lot of money over the time that the new owners have been in, or the owners have been in place, they've done a lot of good for football as well. Not only within the Manchester area, the rejuvenation of the area that the stadiums built in, the training grounds, the housing and facilities that they built, that perhaps people, certainly this side of the world, probably won't be aware of. The fact that they've got the link with Melbourne City here, it's about development of young kids. Yes, they want to win the Champions League. That was their ultimate goal. But it's all those other things that they do behind the scenes that we actually don't see from a lot of other clubs.
There's no doubt about that, Craig. And they've done some very, very good things in Manchester. Not just the development of those facilities, but offering employment to local people, not just to build those facilities, but working in those facilities as well. There's tie-ups with local schools. I think there's a library there. They've regenerated a brownfield site in a part of East Manchester that no British government would touch. So, in many ways, they've done more for that area of Manchester than, even the British government has. I don't think there's any question about that. And they've done very, very good things for the supporters. There are, again, things that don't make for sexy headlines, but the pre-game experience at the Etihad Stadium is fantastic. They have a thing called City Square. They have ex-players. They have, videos of former games. They have bands on. There are themed bars, Mike Summerby Bar, Colin Bell Bar. The whole ground is now encircled with the livery of the legends and very much telling the story of the club. There's a section in the stand where parents can leave their kids to play video games that are supervised. So there are good things that are going on behind the scenes, which makes it very disappointing for me that, given all of that good stuff that they do, yes, they spend billions of dollars as well on players and salaries, but they were still willing to sign up to the Super League. And that really disappointed me, to be honest, because if they were true football visionaries, they would have looked at that and gone, that's not for us. We'll stand aside. We'll not do that because it's the wrong thing to do. I think there was an element of, we have to do it. We have to do it.
And another one.
But, that's, anyway, it's a long story, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, you're pretty passionate and upset about that. So yeah, we'll move on from that one, I think. But look, it is a massive talking point, isn't it? It's you look at what happened at the Manchester United Liverpool game last week. So obviously, fans are up in the air about it in the UK, and quite rightly so, as you said. It's greedy owners who just want to get greedier and be richer than they already are, and that's had a massive detriment to the game, I think.
Yeah, look, no question. But as I say, we started this a long time ago. I think it was FIFA who first started to commercialize the game back in the 1970s when they, signed up with Adidas and Coca-Cola and started to commercialize the game. And this is just a natural extension of it. I think, unfortunately, in the UK, we've probably just allowed it to go too far by selling off all the family silver, all these heirlooms that people feel are part of their DNA. And I'm the same with Manchester City. Maybe the Germans, got it right all along, not for the first time with the 50+1.
Simon, have we gone past the point of no return as far as the greed, the corporate greed, the almighty dollar, or in England's case, the pound? Have we gone past the point of no return, or will this all maybe force some of these club owners to go back to basics and actually listen a little bit more to fans, engage the fans a little bit more? What's your gut feeling telling you about all that?
Well, we're already seeing, perhaps the start of that. I see that Chelsea today have said that they will allow 3 supporter representatives to attend board meetings from July. That doesn't mean they're going to have any voting rights, of course, but at least they'll be allowed in to listen and maybe have a bit of a say. I think that's a start. I see that the Glazers saying that they're going to meet with Manchester United fans. They've been in charge since 2005. Why is it taking them 16 years to listen to their own fans? We all think that we're stakeholders, Manchester United fans. But I think the legacy fans label that's been attached to long-term supporters of the clubs by some of these would-be Super League owners, I think that's something that's really irritated people. It irritated me. I know the Man City branch of the Supporters Club in Sydney has started sending out messages to all legacy Blues. To come to the pub and cheer the team on. Well, if that's how we're being viewed, being labelled as in, we're just part of history, really, then that's a very sad indictment as to the way they think. But probably not too surprising, to be honest.
Let's talk about the final.
Yeah,
Chelsea, Man City. Yeah, a big UK final. There's rumours that the game could potentially be switched to Wembley. I think that's come out today. I think the UK have now put Turkey into a red zone, I think. So let's go to the game. Man City have been playing some fantastic football this season. They've been, they had a lot of stick last year. Perhaps wasn't the season that everybody anticipated. This year, he's come back. They just look untouchable, don't they?
Well, they were until the weekend when they lost 2-1 at home to Chelsea. So, look, Chelsea have beaten us twice in the last 3 weeks. And obviously, Saturday's game that was in the Premier League, of course, is not necessarily going to be the same one that takes place in Istanbul or wherever it is. And the teams were much changed because they'd played in Europe during the week. But I think Chelsea, are one of the few teams that have demonstrated that they can beat City. I think Thomas Tuchel has
great job, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done a terrific job, and he's done in many ways a similar thing to what Pep has done this season, in that he's recognised that the weakness of the team was defensively leaking goals, and that was City's Achilles heel, even over the last 2 or 3 years where we did win a lot of trophies. Now, City have shored up that department this year with the acquisition of Ruben Diaz, in particular, who's been absolutely immense. Rodrigo has matured in that midfield role as well, to such an extent that Fernandinho, doesn't play every week these days. Now, Tuchel has done something similar with Chelsea. I read something yesterday. I think Edouard Mendy, their goalkeeper, has kept 18 clean sheets in 24 matches, which is just phenomenal, really. So they've gone back to those defensive basics, and built from there. So he's a smart coach, Tuchel, and he was in the Champions League final with PSG last year. So, he'll want to go one better this time around. I think it's going to be an intriguing final, a very tight final. Obviously, I hope City win it. But equally, if Chelsea do, then, they will have deserved it.
Now, mate, we haven't got much time, unfortunately, so we could ask you 1,001 questions, and I think Maxi Santic makes a good point. Simon, despite your Man City-ness, and that's coming from another Liverpool supporter,
they're everywhere.
They are. You speak a lot of footballing sense. Your knowledge and experience is invaluable to football in Australia, which brings me to our next point. Mate, since we last spoke to you, I guess a lot has happened, a lot has been talked about, a lot has been speculated, but your assessment on the current state of football in Australia, A-League, the NPL, this, have we got another hour to talk about all this? Where do you see the current state of football, whether it be at the elite level or grassroots community level or just the sport in general?
Yeah, you might need that hour. Look, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do at all levels of the game. I think where we're at the moment, certainly with the A-League, is we're in a holding pattern, and we have been since the start of this current season. We need a new broadcast deal. We need a broadcast deal with a partner that loves the game, is prepared to promote the game, and wants to work in partnership with the game, because there's no silver bullets to the sports ills at the moment. It needs hard work and it needs a bit of time. I think the football in the A-League is pretty good this season, to be honest. I don't necessarily think tactically it's the smartest, but it's exciting and there's a fair few goals and it's open. And, for fans, that's great. I think we still need a unified pyramid. I think there's a lot of people who love football who feel very much excluded from it at the moment, probably including myself, to be honest, if we're going to go down that road. We'd like to be back inside the tent. We want to make this game great, but we've got to be included. That's why I'm all for a national second division as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be promotion and relegation straight away, but we need to create not just pathways for our players and coaches, but a pathway towards a system of promotion and relegation. And most of all, making the football family feel as one. Because at the moment, we have a two-tier system and never the twain shall meet, apart from a few games in the FFA Cup, which is what has made that tournament so popular. And if our leaders can't see that, then they're blind. So it's time, to get those things sorted. We've all talked about it till we're blue in the face. We all know what the issues are. We all know what needs to be done to fix it. And yes, we know the problems, money, geography, et cetera, but we've got to start getting on with it. We've got to stop talking and start doing. Otherwise, this game is going to continue to languish in the doldrums. And let's be brutally honest, that's where we are at the moment. We're back where we were probably, when the A-League started. And that's not good. We should be much further along in our journey, but we're not, because there's been an awful lot of awful decisions that have been taken by our games leaders with regards to many things. We've been hamstrung by our own broadcaster over the last 2 or 3 years, who's completely lost interest in it. Let's be honest about that as well. And a mainstream media that doesn't care about us. So to use the previous analogy of Thomas Tuchel and Pep Guardiola, we got to get back to basics. We got to start doing what's right for football and our own community. Everything else will take care of itself. But at the moment, we're at the very beginning of that journey, and it's a long road.
Yeah, and I think you said this, Simon, and there's been a lot of talk. Talks have been going on for 2 years.
Correct.
Yeah, and now we're still, there was a meeting on Friday up at Melbourne Knights we spoke about earlier on, where Chris Nico was there talking, and the chap from the AAFC talking about the second division. It's just talk. We have to start planning. There are teams in Melbourne that want this, but it's not going anywhere. We just keep talking about it.
Look, Craig, there's teams in Sydney that want it. There's teams in the regions that want it. It's at some point. Look, if it's not viable, and I hear on the grapevine people saying, "Oh, the financial model is not right. It's not the right time." How long do you have to have these talking shops? If it's not doable, come out and say so.
Mm-hmm.
Just be honest with people and say, we can't do it. And then, they can moan about it, whinge about whatever. But stop kicking the can down the road and saying, you know what, maybe next year. Oh, we just got to talk to a few more people. We've got to find the right model. We're not quite there. Is it going to be a conference system? Is it going to be this? Are we going to... Come on. We've had all these discussions. It's time to do it or to say it can't be done. It's one or the other.
They can do it, Simon, if they haven't got 15, 16 clubs to start off with.
No, you can do it with 8. You can do a mini season of home and away, 14 games. Do it as a pilot, championship for a year. See if it works. If the clubs can't afford it, if it gauges no interest, then at least we know. And I'm not 100% sold on the fact that it will 100% work, but I think we're at the point in time where we have to try this, because otherwise we're in danger of alienating our own community, and that's hugely dangerous. And we've seen it, in terms of the A-League, that the crowds, while the football is fine and the competition's interesting and exciting, the crowds aren't great, and that's because a lot of people have disengaged with it. So we've got to fix these problems, and we've got to fix them quickly.
Yeah.
What is our biggest problem? Is it in our game, in the Australian game? Money? Is it money? Or I was going to say, is it ego? Is it fear? Fear of the mainstream sport, mainstream community? Money. But I get the feeling, I get the sense that in the NPL community, let's call it that. So all the clubs out there in the NPL community, just here in Victoria, whether it's Melbourne Knights, whether it's South Melbourne, whether it's Heidelberg, whether it's Preston, whether it's George Cross, our esteemed sponsor, and Mark Altona, our president, there are people there, very rich people there, that are holding back. And they're holding back because at the moment they don't see value in investing in the clubs and putting money. But if they were part of something bigger, I mean, I look at a club like Melbourne Knights, there's people like I&D and a guy from Queensland. They're multi-millionaires. But at the moment, they're sponsoring a little bit here and there, but they're not sponsoring a lot. Heidelberg had a community business gathering about a week ago. Some big businesses involved. But at the moment, people seem to be holding back. So really, is money the big issue, or is it something else that's holding us back at that second tier?
Look, I think it's multi-layered. I think money is certainly one of the factors. I think there is a fear that the clubs will go bust trying to compete in this competition. I'm not saying that that's my view, but I certainly think that's one point of view. I think there's an element of fear. Our game is very risk averse. It's to me, it's not bold enough in many aspects. It cowers in a corner when it comes to the other codes. It doesn't like taking, this big debate about should we play in winter, should we play in summer? Now, to be honest, I don't care either way. But if you want to play in winter, which, let's be honest, football is a winter sport, it looks better in winter. People say, we're not going to get the crowds in winter. We're not getting the crowds now. It doesn't matter. If we want to try something, then try it. We've got to be brave, because let me tell you, the other codes, they're not going to stand back and wait for us, to do the right thing. They don't care. They just get on and do what they think is right for their sport. And so should we. We should be aiming towards not the main. This is the biggest problem, right? Apart from the biggest problem is our leaders constantly have their gaze up here, looking around for mainstream relevance, trying to attract the mythical floating fan. Now, of course, there are fans that follow, different sports, multiple sports, but what they should be focusing their gaze on is here, which is where your football community is. That's your base. That's your passionate football supporters. Those are your people who are committed, who go every single week either to your A-League club or your NPL club or involved in grassroots. Those are the people we need to be marketing to and saying, what is it you want? Not what do News Corp or Rugby League, what do they least, prefer us to have? It's not about them. It's about us. And I don't think, we do that often enough. We're too often looking at the periphery and worrying about what everybody else is doing. We should worry about football.
Well, you just touched on something really, really good there about the community and the people. You look at what's happened in the FFA Cup this week with the Preston Lions and Oakley game being cancelled because of security worries. That's more around the amount of people that's going to be at that game.
Yeah. Well, look, we've had an issue yesterday as well, apparently in the A-League at Western Sydney Wanderers, where one guy has been thrown out for swearing and banned for 12 months. That's what I've read anyway. Unfortunately, again, this is a cultural stigma that our game has to wear from generations back. And it's institutionalized in this country. Let's be brutally honest about it. And a lot of it is based around racism and prejudice. Let's be brutally honest about that as well. So, again, we need to be bold in fighting that. And look, to be fair, James Johnson, he did go on the radio the other week. He's got panned by a lot of people in the football community, because they reckon he didn't do a good enough job in defending the game after the incident between Rockdale and Sydney United. But he went on and he tried to defend the game, which I applaud. Again, we've got to be a lot bolder in standing up for our sport and explaining that, just because our supporters jump up and down and sing and bang a drum and wave flags, and yes, occasionally they might throw a flare, that's part of football culture. And I'm not defending people breaking the law, by the way, I'll never do that. But, our culture is different and we have to sell that to mainstream Australia. And at the moment, what we have done, certainly for the last 5 or 6 years, ever since the infamous Rebecca Wilson article in the Daily Telegraph, ever since then, we have bent over backwards to try and appease the mainstream. Look, we're just like you. We're just like Rugby League. We're just like Aussie Rules. Who cares what they do? That's their sport. Good on you. Support your teams in the way that you want to. I have no problem with that. But this is our game. And if we want to do it our way, so long as we stay, within the law, then that should be fine as well. But at the moment, we're not allowed to have that difference. We're trying to, fit ourselves into the little round hole that we're supposed to be fitted into. And I'm sick of it, to be honest. I'm tired of that. I want a football culture here, and we've got it. But we don't embrace it. We don't celebrate it. We don't promote it because we're scared to death of the mainstream. Scared to death of them.
Yep. We are sometimes our own worst enemies, as they say. Simon, mate, thank you for joining us sincerely on this Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. It's been a ripper chatting to you, and all the people that are hanging on to every word you say. I think you've even got a job offer. Mark Altona is offering a position on his Caroline Springs George Cross board for you to
I might take you up on that, Mark. I'm a bit far away, but you never know.
You never.
I think you've also got your guest for tomorrow's show. I think he wants to.
Yeah, but George Cross is one of those clubs at the moment that is not involved. As are a lot of the clubs here in Victoria and in New South Wales and all over the country that are not yet fully involved and are holding back and could certainly offer a hell of a lot. Mate, we're going to have to get you back on the show again. Well done to you with your podcast, with Manchester City this year and everything that you've been involved in as well. Thank you very, very much. We certainly have to get you back on.
No problem, guys.
Hope to see you on big screens very, very soon, mate. So thanks for sharing your hour with us tonight, mate. Really appreciate it.
I hope so too. Thanks very much, guys. Nice to be with you.
Thanks, Simon.
Absolute pleasure. Simon Hill, one of the most leading media personalities, commentators par excellence. Wasn't that good to have him on the show tonight? And what a way to end the show. Jeez, this is our longest show we've ever gone, hour and 46 minutes. But it was worth every second.
You could listen to Simon for hours. He's
absolutely
so much sense about, not just football, but, how football should be run. And there's people like him. He should be on the screens every week. He's the best commentator that's been around for years, and fortunately we don't get to hear his dulcet tones on the big screens, and it's such a shame.
And for that mainstream sports or mainstream sports media, if you want to call it that, not to fully utilise someone such as Simon Hill is a travesty of justice, in my humble opinion.
But that's the way Australia is, mate. There's lots of people out there. We talked about Craig Moore and Zalgo Kalic. They don't even get involved in or asked for their opinion on football in this country. So, if you're not asking people that's played at World Cups and played in some of the highest leagues in Europe and not asking their advice, what hope have we got?
Yeah, we're going to edit that episode, that interview with Simon Hill, hopefully tomorrow. We will have that as a standalone episode on our YouTube channel, as well as on our Facebook in the next day or so. And make sure, folks, you just share the hell out of that, because what he says, football, we here in Australia are in the doldrums.
Yeah.
And then he said, this is the biggest problem. We're not focusing on our community. We're too worried about what everyone else is thinking other than us. And that is just absolute gold.
You know what Mark's just put on there? Support the show, share, and episode unbelievable. Guys, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reinforce what the sport is lacking. And we're a very, very small part of the media. We class ourselves as media. We have a good, loyal following of supporters that follow us every week. But unless we do something about it ourselves, then it's never going to change.
No, absolutely.
Change.
Absolutely. Exactly. 100%. On that note, Craig, thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. Look forward to next Sunday night and some big games in the NPL system. We sincerely apologise to Brimbank Stallions' Thomas Galea. He was meant to be on the guest tonight. I promise, Thomas, you will be on next week's program. So once again, my apologies and on behalf of everyone here for not. We just ran out of time, simply put. But on that note, mate, all the best for the week ahead. Should be a great week. I can't wait for next weekend. It's just going to be just as good as this weekend was in football.
Yes, next week coming on the show as well, including Thomas Galea, and we've already got a couple locked in for next week. So
absolutely, stay tuned for that. Thank you, folks. You've been tuning in to the Football Out West show. All the very, very best, and good luck for the rest of the week. Hope you have a very, very enjoyable week. All the best.
Good evening.